Hi, I'm Brian. Welcome to Autogefuhl and welcome to the 5th generation of the Volkswagen Caddy. This vehicle has a particularly interesting history. It's one of the most international that Volkswagen have ever made because it covers so many different countries in its production. It started off being based on the Golf, then it went on to being based on the Polo, then it went on to being based on the Touran, and now we are to the most modern Volkswagen vehicle that's on offer, the MQB platform that's used for the Golf 8. So consequently, the dimensions have significantly altered. What you're looking at here is not only aesthetically different, but a very different animal indeed to what's gone before. So, what does that mean in practical terms? Well, as you look at the car, I think the first thing that you notice is that the styling is radically different. Now, to me, the Caddy is and will always be primarily a commercial vehicle. Well, I think Volkswagen understand that, but there's still a significant nod here to bring it into the digital era and to make sure that the vehicle is representative not only of what they want to achieve with it, but also of the multiple different offerings that they have for this car now, which include a lot of personal use as well as professional use considerations. So when you look at the bottom third here and you see this honeycomb grille, that really feels like a very modern definition as to how you want to approach a commercial vehicle. For my taste, I like the styling, but I am a little worried. To my way of thinking, commercial vehicles should first and foremost be built around practicality. I look at this, there is a huge amount of design, a very expensive looking instrument cluster in the middle, and I can't help but wonder, what does this cost to replace when my new hire drives this into the side of something? 4 meters 50 or 177 inches. The car is now 93 millimeters longer. Again, that's because of the MQB platform. Now, we have to be somewhat selective about what we can film tonight, largely because there are so many people here, and managing to bring you a decent shot that can show you is a little constrictive. So this is the passenger version of this vehicle. But if you're looking at this thinking, well, that's not quite as exciting as I might have liked, maybe I would have wanted something a bit more dynamic in the change, I would caution you to think that the main reason for most of these aesthetic changes that you're currently looking at are aerodynamic. Now that's actually much easier to see on the panel version of this car, but even with the passenger version, you can see these clean-cut lines that run along the side here. Now, there's been a lot of change with the engines as well, but I think it's well worth pointing out that Volkswagen are claiming 12% more efficient on engine use. I think it's well worth mentioning at this point that traditional Volkswagen customers will be familiar with the idea of trend line, comfort line, high line. Those are the traditional way of delineating the layout of the cars and, of course, the way in which they're fitted. Well, that's all gone with this generation of Caddy. The 3 trim levels that are available for this vehicle will be the Caddy, the Life, and the Style. So the Style is the highest trim level, the Caddy being the base or entrance level trim. So just a little adjustment to get used to. I think one of the things, if you are a standard customer for the Caddy, that you will need to adjust to a little bit is there is now an awful lot more on offer. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be limited in terms of how you interact with it, only that whatever it is you want, there is now an option available for you to get it. Now I'm a basic guy. I'll be completely honest. What I like is things that they're most simple. What I like most about the Caddy is the job that it does without all the bells and whistles. And a lot of thought has been put into delivering that in as thorough as a way without you adding option after option after option. But some of those are well worthwhile considering. That's to do with the technical side. We'll get onto that when we get indoors. What I want to show you for now is this massive expanse of rear area here. In load terms, that has a very significant impact in terms of how you can actually utilize this vehicle. As you can see here, we're configured to take 7 passengers. And what I particularly like about this experience is that, albeit that this is just the short wheelbase version, you can see you can actually realistically fit 7 people in here. Now, obviously not at the highest level of comfort you've ever experienced in your life, but it's good to know that you can achieve it. And what's nice about the way that this system has been organized is that it's extremely flexible, which means you don't have to spend a lifetime putting seats in, taking them out, and switching over again and again and again. You can actually leave these in here, and as you can see, you still end up with an awfully large amount of load space. So all of that said, you're likely to be putting more miles onto a commercial vehicle than anything else you own. So attention to detail is really important. And here what we have are brand new seats. And I can tell you, you would think in the modern era that it was pretty common that seats would be really well put together and thought of. And I have to tell you that is not the case. These feel firm and supportive. I'm actually surprisingly low down in this vehicle, where you would expect it here, but I have stacks of headroom, obviously, here, because this is the very much person-used basis. We have a glass panoramic roof that is now available, stretching the length of the vehicle. Now, that's not a new idea for this class of vehicles, but I am pleased to see Volkswagen embracing that and doing it their way. What it does give me is a massively light, airy, and spacious feeling cabin, but one that is also very practical as well. There are large wells in the dashboard here for my documents, or just extra things while I'm driving around. Everything feels very clean and very easy to keep clean in the interior. This is a brand new steering wheel, and again, it's a much more familiar experience to a car driver than it would be to somebody driving a commercial vehicle. So, albeit that this is the passenger model, you can get the very same experience in a commercial vehicle. I really have to say, I think they've done a very nice job of making whoever is driving this feel that they are not making a compromise by going with a commercial platform. And I think that's the key for a commercial platform crossover. What we really did want to bring you in a little bit more detail, the displays here. That is the full driver's digital display. And over here, also 10 inches in diameter, you can see the infotainment system. Now, because this is primarily a commercial vehicle, everything should be based on ease of use. But don't forget that clearly this is just a show model and therefore doesn't function entirely as you might like it to. Now, what I really think is worth pointing out here is that one of the sales features of having a full digital system is that you do have baked into that essentially an app store. At any time, if there is an additional feature, either commercial or personal, that you want to add to your vehicle, you can actually enter the app store that's baked into the car and then buy add-ons. The thing I like about that is it means you're not paying for things you're not going to use and that aren't useful. But over time, you can actually upgrade and change your car. And as a commercial buyer, that's very attractive indeed, because there are certain things you don't necessarily know that you need the first time you take the car out that might actually end up being incredibly useful. For me, it largely comes down to whatever is going to save you the most time and money. That's as a business owner. As a personal owner, I find it really very encouraging that I don't have to be sold on things that I don't necessarily want. And I suspect that this is the way in which the market's moving. I think it will be a much more buy as you want menu system than standardly coming in, paying for a certain level, and then you get the things that are associated with that. So that's my pitch as to why you would want to consider the full digital version. Once you get in the back, not only do you really appreciate those sliding doors, but you also appreciate the way that things have been finished back here. You really have a huge expanse of light and air, largely because of this panoramic roof that's new for this edition, but also because of the way that the seats have been configured within the vehicle. There is more than enough space. Now, I don't have particularly long legs. Jonas does. But if you look at my knees, you can see that there is still plenty of room for you to adjust, even if you are significantly taller than I am. As far as head height's concerned, well, what would you expect? It's designed to take Euro pallets. So honestly, I don't think there's anyone big enough to make this vehicle feel crowded. Nope, pretty sure even if you play in the NBA, you're still going to have enough headroom. Let's take a closer look at what's powering this thing. Well, I'm very excited to tell you that what you're looking at is one of the diesel engines. There are 3 available at launch, varying in power between 75 to 122 horsepower. There is a petrol, of course, also a 4-cylinder producing 116 horsepower, and that's coming very shortly after launch. Why is that the way it's working? Well, you should be aware that 80% plus of all Caddies currently sold are being sold with diesel engines. So it's hardly surprising that they're launching with those first. The really big news on this is that it comes with twin catalytic converters. That allows for double dosing. You're aware of the blue liquid that we all add to our engines now in order to make them run cleaner. Well, that makes this one of the cleanest diesel engines that is available anywhere for anything. I wanted to end with where my heart belongs, and hopefully because of this circus you can get some impression as to why we weren't able to film here the whole time, but I did want to show you this very much. This is the Caddy in its purest form. This is its commercial application. And the reason that this is so interesting to me is specifically because what's been achieved with the aerodynamics here. So you could look at this and say, well, that's flat, it's not all that exciting, I don't really know that that much is happening here. But that belies the extraordinary engineering that's gone into producing this car. Every single detail here, albeit that it might look as if it's not significant, goes into reducing that aerodynamic drag and increasing the fuel efficiency. And that's everything for this vehicle. But not only that, enhanced loading facility, making the space work better, cleaner, more efficiently, all adds up to making this car something that you can really see people are going to wanting to be owning and driving for as long and as successfully as the Caddy's history would suggest. So, what do we think about the new Caddy? He asked in a very echoey, ominous voice. I think it promises a huge amount. Whether it can live up to everything it promises, well, we can only wait and see. But if the 3 million people who've already invested in making this car a success have anything to do with it, then I think the future looks very bright indeed. Well, it would be remiss of us to end the clip without bringing you this. This is the Caddy Vision, and to my way of thinking, if a rapper wanted to own a Caddy, this would be the one they would go for. As you can see, everything here has been pretty stylized, including the nice big black alloys right down to the extensive use of piano black throughout the design. I think it's a good thing that Volkswagen are really considering their customers in a larger base. But you know what? As nice as this is, I'm still always going to be the guy stuck halfway down a motorway, sitting in my Caddy, and I'm only going to be asking one question. Am I comfortable, and is this cost effective to drive? I hope that's probably consistent for most owners. Let me know if you think I'm wrong about that. But in the meantime, if you have any comments or questions about anything and we haven't covered it, please put it below. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope we'll see you all again soon.